Hi, I'm Doc Palmer. I'm the author of McGraw-Hill's best-selling reliability book, The Maintenance, Planning, and Scheduling Handbook. Because the fundamental concepts of planning and scheduling are a bit unusual, they give us an opportunity for a competitive edge. We simply have to run planning as a Deming cycle and fully load schedules to defeat Parkinson's law. Those are critical concepts, and we've discussed those. Today we'll discover truth. We want to look at 6 ways to encourage feedback. That's just the critical part of running the Deming cycle. It's easy to tell people you want feedback. It's one of the most difficult things to master over the years, getting feedback. The first thing that would encourage feedback is you have to make it your process to get feedback real time. I'm over 60 years old. I like paper work orders. We are going to mobile. There are a lot of advantage of mobile. In episode 25, we talked about mobile input. But it has to be real time. Piece of paper right there on your toolbox while you're working. If you think something could be better next time. Next time it would be safer if we had a longer ladder. Or I had to leave the job site, come back with a longer ladder so that it would be safer. If you have a process where they input the feedback later, what did you learn today? And you're at the end of the day, you can't remember those little things. So likewise with mobile, if you have a mobile device, it has to instantly boot up. You have to be able to use it in the dark, in the sunshine, be able to maybe talk into it with static. It can't take more than a few seconds to boot up or people are not going to use it. It can't be fragile, or the craftspersons will leave it in their pickup truck. It has to be real time, Johnny on the spot. The second thing is the planner needs to go to some crew meetings. The planner is the one that really understands the Deming cycle and that they want to get craft feedback. The craftspersons, they just want to finish a job, go to the next job. It would have been more helpful if the plan was better. Why didn't the planner fix it? The planner has to be out there in some of the crew meetings. If you have a daily crew meeting, tailboard at the beginning of the day for each crew, the planner should try to go to one of those meetings once a week. Hey, remember my job? I'm not really a planner. I'm really a craft historian. It pays the same, but my real job is to save information for you craftsmen. There's no way I can be perfect and tell you what to do on a job. And you know how to work on these jobs. Don't tell me you don't know how to fix that. Don't tell me you don't know how to work on that. But if there's something you want to remember for the next time, write that down. The planner has to be out there quite frequently in some of the crew meetings so that they're perceived as part of the crew. The planner's their craft historian. It's not something from management telling them how to do their job. And then the third thing is the plans should show usage of the feedback. If you say you added a ladder to the job plan, have a little configuration management. A list at the bottom of the plan that prints out with the work order that's right there on the electronic device. On April 2nd, so-and-so year, I added a longer ladder per feedback. And then over the years, you're seeing that, okay, this time we added a longer ladder, this time we added a second gasket, this time we added metric calendar inches, this time we added a different filter size, because this time and say per feedback each time, and then your name or initials as the planner. When that prints out with the work order, it shows that you're using the feedback. Monthly PMs are a little tricky because sometimes you'll write a longer ladder would be safer. You add to the job plan, but the next monthly PM has already come out. So the craftsperson says, well, I gave you that feedback and you didn't put it in the job plan. This is worthless. I'm never going to give you feedback again. You've got to be out there explaining yourself. Well, monthly PMs, Sometimes I don't get it in there before the next one's issued. But, keep giving those feedback to work orders, preventive maintenance. We really want to use that. And then the fourth one, and these are not in order of priority. These are all part of the mesh together that makes it work. Supervisor, this is your first line supervisor supports. Your first line supervisors are the keepers of the culture at your plant. If they think something's stupid, everybody thinks it's stupid. If they think something's a good idea, it's more likely more people will think it's a good idea. And if the supervisor goes to the plant manager and complains about this dumb planning thing, we want the plant manager to garner the supervisor's support. Well, this is why we're doing it. The planner's not supposed to be telling you how to do your job. If the supervisor doesn't support it, it's flat out not going to work. And most of these things, if it doesn't work, if you don't get these ideas going, it's not going to work. But supervisor is a big deal. Spend a lot of time coaching the supervisor. Hey, when you get work orders, question people. Well, did you use any extra gaskets? Next time, could something be better? Be writing that stuff down. Supervisor should keep talking about this stuff. And that, talking about going to the plant manager, management supports. If management doesn't care, nobody cares. If the supervisors don't care, nobody cares. Now, supervisors, it's more of a verbal thing, talking with them. Management is more geared toward data. They don't want to hear people complaining from the planners. We never get feedback. The supervisors say we always get feedback. Well, what kind of feedback are you talking about? Management can wade into that, but it's a lot better if management can look at data. And there's a way you can track this for management. On your work order, you could have a checkbox on the work order for update job plan with a question mark. And if they check that box, those work orders come back to the planning department so they can see how they can improve. Or it may be in a special pile back to the planning department. Oh, you used a longer ladder. And instead of scanning 1,000 work orders that you've closed in the month, the scanner can just look at the ones that have been checked. And it could also be a status where it is, say, instead of just complete, the planner, the crafts person puts complete dash planner. So those need to come back to the planner. Your IT department could write a code where it uses the word feedback in the feedback or update in the feedback or something where you've trained your class persons. Hey, if you want the planner to look at it, make sure you include the word update. And then you can run a report, once a week or at the end of the month for work orders that you need to look for electronically. Now, it's interesting. I was at one plant and it had this checkbox on the work order for update the job plan. And I think that is perfect. Because if I'm a manager and we're closing 1,000 work orders a month, but only 10 come back with that check mark, that's only 1% of the work orders coming back with how it could be better. And I don't know what that number should be. But as a manager, I know that 1%, 1 out of 100 job plans was perfect. Nothing could be better. I know we're just not a learning company. So I would talk to the supervisors. Hey, it looks like we're only getting 1% of our work orders back with feedback. What's going on? Oh, we give a lot of feedback all the time. I know, but are you checking the box? Oh, yeah, we need to check the box. Yeah, we'll start doing that. And it's very non-confrontational because you're kind of setting something in place that's objective and it's numeric, it's quantitative. So the manager could look at that. Well, what kind of feedback are you talking about? And that spurs that discussion. Now, I was at this one plant where they had this box, and I was asking the manager, hey, how do you use that box? Knowing how it should be used. And the manager said, we use that box to tell us if we have bad planners. The planners that get the most checks are the worst planners because they have a lot of faulty job plans. And I said, oh no. But we've actually used this to suppress feedback. And I talked to some of the supervisors out in the field, and I said, do y'all check that box for feedback when a plan needs to be changed? Oh no, we don't want to get the planner in trouble. So they had a good relationship with the planner, which is good. That's number 2. But the way management was using that checkbox was counterproductive in actually suppressing feedback. I said, no, you want a lot of feedback. These boxes come back to the planner and they can upgrade the job plan without looking through all the work orders all the time. And it gives you as a measure, as a manager, well, Doc, what percentage should we have coming back with feedback? And I honestly don't know, but 1% is probably not good. 2 or 3% might not be good. So you could use that as a manager to talk about that. And that leads us to the 6th item here. I would start a program, and this is management's side, I would start with a training class. I would show some examples of good feedback. I would show some examples of bad feedback from your actual work orders, without naming names. So like bad feedback would be, the plan is to check the torque on the impeller nut to make sure the impeller nut's not going to come loose. And the job plan just says, done. Well, the feedback maybe what should be the torque, or maybe there's a better way to keep it from coming loose. Now, just if they checked the torque and the torque was proper, that wouldn't be helpful feedback as far as approving a job plan, but that certainly would be good feedback. You want to get people used to saying things, a trigger in their mind. If you ever leave the job site for something other than break or the end of the day, what did you leave the job site for? Oh yeah, I went to get a longer ladder. Well, that's the kind of feedback I want. Well, mechanics ought to know to take a long ladder. Well, sometimes they get out there on the job and they haven't thought about it or read the work order ahead of time. But then they get out there and the ladder they brought was too short. Then that's a safety issue because maybe they'll take a chance on a ladder that's too short. And it's certainly a waste of time if you leave the job site, because not only does it waste time if you leave the job site for something that you could have brought, but a lot of time you take detours. You go talk to this person, you go check on that, you go look here, look over here, then finally get back to the job. It's just a lot of wasted time. Just a big improvement for productivity is not to keep people on their job, but to have people with what they need so they don't have to leave the job. So staying on the job just avoids unnecessarily delays in doing other things. And then this persistence, the management looking at a KPI, the planners going to some of the crew meetings, start with a training class. You need ongoing attention from the managers. And the planners and managers are working on the supervisors. So the supervisors keep supporting that. And the supervisors, they don't mind doing that, but they want to know why they're doing it, that it's value added, and all about the Deming cycle. Our job is to make things better. The planner needs to keep encouraging that, and management needs to keep encouraging that. But those are my ideas, the 6 things to encourage feedback. It's not just one thing, it's just all 6 of things. So thanks for letting me join your maintenance family. You can see some of my past conference presentations and magazine articles at palmerplanning.com. And, make McGraw-Hill happy if you buy a handbook. And this has a lot of the text of what we've been talking about. So thanks again, and God bless.